Now it's track 2. Thank you, Eleanor and Barry. And now, here's the what's-ons. Not many this time. In Rushden, let's get quizzical. Pop quizzes featuring music from the 1960s through to the present day takes place at the Windmill Club in Glassbrook Road, Rushden, every month. The quizzes are held every fourth Wednesday at 7:45pm. Quizmaster Laurie Trott said, "Everyone is welcome. You don't even have to be a member of the Windmill Club." The great thing about it is that because the quiz features music from across 50 years, people of all ages can come and play. All proceeds from the quizzes go to Cats Protection, Wellingborough and Rushden. For more information about the quizzes, call Laurie on 07827 729 043. And a senior school is organising a tea dance for the community next week. Staff and students at Rushden Community College in Hayway will put on the tea dance on Wednesday afternoon. It will feature live music from the Dave Hawk Disco and will take place from 2:15pm to 4pm. Dancers will also be able to enjoy refreshments during the afternoon and take part in a raffle. For further information about the tea dance, contact the school on 01933 350 391. Now in Wellingborough, a concert is being held at the United Reformed Church in High Street, Wellingborough on July the 9th. Members of the Variations Choir will be performing at the event. Admission will be £5 per person and £1 for children under 16. All proceeds will go to upgrading facilities at the church. The St Nicholas Church Flush Fund Summer Festival will run between the 2nd of July and the 10th of July. Their first event will be an entertaining evening of music from the Abington Wind Band on Saturday the 2nd of July. This will commence at 6pm on the village playing field or in the Memorial Hall if there are adverse weather conditions. Tickets for the event are £8 and include a light supper. For further details, please contact Julia Richardson on 01933 276 931 or at juliasnoop@hotmail.com. Finally, in Wollaston, the Wollaston Museum is now open for the 2011 season with an exhibition on toys of the past. The museum will be open each Sunday and Wednesday afternoon from 2:30pm until 4:30pm until the end of September, with other times by arrangement. And don't forget, there are the museum Curiosity Cottage and Beacon Hill to explore. Entrance is free, though donations are always welcome. Everyone is welcome to visit, and for further information, call 07804 241 430. And here with the next batch of news is Sarah Gilmore and myself.
Residents of a town estate fear they could be left stranded as taxi drivers say they are wary about taking jobs in the area since its streetlights were switched off. The Hemingwell estate in Wellingborough was plunged into darkness last week when Northamptonshire County Council cost-cutting plan to switch off streetlights reached the borough. Barry Liffin, chairman of the Wellingborough Taxi Drivers Association, said, "It's one of our worst places for pickups and taxi drivers have been mugged. Our drivers are very worried and on edge about going down there now because it's so dark. Drivers might stop going down there completely. It's very dark, especially at the bottom of the estate. I think they should have been more selective when they were turning off the lights and looked more closely at it if there was a high crime rate. We don't get out of our cars now, we just phone the person to tell them we're outside." Wellingborough taxi driver Carl Morrissey said, "Everyone will be more wary of dropping off down there now because it's so much darker. The county council seems to have switched off the lights in the footpath areas on the estate, but I think that needs to be looked at sensibly. The street lights should have just been switched off where there are no houses on estates like the Hemingwell." The chairman of the Hemingwell Residents Association said, "We feel unsafe, and if we can't get out because taxis won't come down to the estate, we will be prisoners, especially in the winter time. We will be left stranded." Ken Murdin, 88, of Highfield Road, Wellingborough, added, "I think there will be repercussions to switching off the lights in areas like the Hemingwell. I can't see the point of them turning lights off in areas like that."
County MEP Derek Clark is backing campaigners fighting to have streetlights switched back on. UKIP's East Midlands MEP, whose constituency includes Northamptonshire, has met organisers of the Corby Streetlights Group, Melanie Yule and Tony Clenahan. The County Council is switching off half its streetlights to save £2 million a year. Already 3,800 lights have gone off in Corby, the first area affected. The MEP said, "This is a cynical ploy by the County Council. Switch them off in the summer when the fewest people notice, and by the time November comes, it's too late. How will children walk home in the dark from school?" The protesters talked to me about the dozens of stories they've heard, from the elderly too worried to go out at night, to an increase in crime, accidents, and people thinking of giving up their jobs because they're too frightened to walk home along dark streets.
Town centre traders have held the first meeting of a newly formed group designed to improve Wellingborough's economy. Members of the Wellingborough Traders Group met representatives from the local police, the Town Centre Partnership, Taxi Drivers Association and the Borough Council recently to discuss issues facing the town. Topics discussed at the meeting were the future of the town centre redevelopment, including the High Street and Tresham site plans, an empty unit in Market Street which is currently the subject of a planning appeal process by a betting shop company trying to open a business in the town, and people illegally riding their bicycles on footpaths through the town. All of the issues discussed at the meeting had been put forward by local businesses. Chairman Mark Jones said, "This group is about working together with everybody to try to improve the town centre. We want to deal with the issues and move forward. The towns surrounding us, including Corby and Northampton, are very proactive in moving their town centres forward, and we need to do something similar. The aim of the group is to represent the views of the businesses in the town, and it's about responding to the issues that come up on a month-by-month basis." On the issue of the town centre redevelopment, Councillor Graham Lormond told the meeting that the next phase of the project would be the potential future development of the Tresham site in Church Street. He said, "We are never going to get a Marks and Spencer's, a Debenhams or a John Lewis, but we may be able to get something in between. It could end up being the same developer that works on both High Street and the Tresham site. We might not be far away with the Tresham site. We said 2012, but it could be earlier than that." Mr Jones added, "I have been in conversations with Next, but the sticking point with Next is the town centre strategy and whether it's about getting more big-name retailers or more small niche shops." Nicola Dennis, Economic Development Manager, said the next phase of the High Street plans would be to procure a developer to take the project forward.
And yet another article about lighting shows how important they feel that it all is. Campaigners have taken to the streets to protest against moves to turn off street lights on a housing estate with high levels of crime. When Northamptonshire County Council's money-saving move to switch off street lights reached the Hemingwell estate in Wellingborough last week, it prompted such outrage that the Residents' Association organised a protest march from Nest Farm Crescent to the town centre. Gannett Lane on the Hemingwell estate has the second worst crime record outside Wellingborough town centre, according to latest figures. Speaking at the protest yesterday, Residents' Association Chairman Cathy Mulholland, who led the march, said, "We wanted to highlight the fact that the local residents were not consulted with before the lights were switched off. On the Hemingwell, we have been left in darkness at the community centre, the underpass and the path that children use to walk to school." Hemingwell resident Don Richardson said, "There's going to be more crime now, and we're all worried for the safety of our children." Louise Lamont, 13, also took part in the march. She said, "We don't really feel safe because all the lights are off, and it's going to get worse in the winter when we are walking home from school. I just hope the County Council listens to us." Residents from Wellingborough's Kingsway and Queensway estates also joined the protest in the town centre. Paul Farrant of Queensway said, "I wanted to support the people from the Hemingwell, But this problem is everywhere, and the number of burglaries and muggings is just going to increase. The decision on Thursday to switch some lights back on in Corby has given us hope. Michael Brown of Gold Street in Wellingborough said, "All of my family live in the Hemmingwell, and it's very dark now. How can they justify switching the lights off there?" Councillor Paul Bell, leader of the Wellingborough Council, has called an urgent meeting with the County Council to discuss residents' concerns. He said, "People are increasingly worried that their safety will be compromised, and it is my responsibility to get these concerns in front of the relevant County Council Cabinet member. I'd like to see if we can come up with ways to resolve these worries."
Almost £300,000 recovered from criminals will be spent on funding police roles and training. When cash is seized and confiscated by police, a share of the forfeited cash is then given to the force which recovered it. The scheme, entitled the Asset Recovery Incentivisation Scheme, was introduced by the Home Office to give police forces an incentive to boost asset recovery. Documents from Northamptonshire Police Authority show the county's police will have a total of £294,538 obtained through the scheme in 2011 to 2012. The plan is to use the cash to keep some posts in the force's financial crime team. The posts are those of 3 financial investigators, costing £126,000. Further £15,000 will be spent on third-party checks through agencies like Experian, and £15,000 will be spent on legal costs of cash forfeiture. The money will also help pay for maintenance and upgrades for the licensing department's drug itemiser, which analyses swabs for drugs. Cash will also be spent on training for the financial crime team. Adrian Lee, Chief Constable of Northamptonshire Police, said, "The force has previously provided funding from the incentivisation scheme to the police authority to use to support the community projects, and it is proposed that £30,000 should be allocated for this purpose. The remainder of the funding will be used by the force to offset the existing expenditure on test purchase operations. These operations aim to take drugs off the streets of Northamptonshire."
Ambulance service officials have promised to improve response times to the most serious 999 calls after it was revealed this region has the worst record in the country. East Midlands Ambulance Service reached the lowest proportion of the most serious calls within 8 minutes. New figures show that ambulances reached 72.4% of Category A calls, those relating to life-threatening situations, within 8 minutes last year. An ambulance service spokesman said a number of measures had been introduced to improve its performance record, and said its record for this financial year so far was 76.18% for Category A calls, topping the 75%. The spokesman said, "Our current performance figures show that we have made good progress, having introduced new systems, increasing our frontline staff numbers by working with our healthcare colleagues at acute hospitals to improve turnaround times and sharing best practice from colleagues on other ambulance services. Our performance is measured over a full year, and we're pleased to say that our year-to-date figure stands at 76.18% for Category A calls." The spokesman said the performance to date this financial year demonstrated it was moving in the right direction. He added, "We're determined to return to our former status of only 3 years ago, when East Midlands Ambulance Service was one of the country's top performing ambulance trusts." East Midlands MEP Derek Clark said he was against the idea of having an ambulance service serving such a wide area. He said it was bound to lead to a lack of accountability and poor performance across the board. The area is just too large for the service to cope with and to cover satisfactorily. Melanie Duncan of Arkwright Road, Irchester said, "I think they need to do everything they can. They're obviously having their budget slashed, so it's going to be difficult. But they have to do something. You can't play with stuff like that. There tends to be an awful lot of road accidents around here, so quick response times are vital." East Midlands Ambulance Service responded to 88.3% of its serious, but not life-threatening Category B calls within 19 minutes. A bit warm.